Hi everyone, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I'm here to talk about boy layouts with you today. I have my coffee because it's 1 o'clock and I need it as I take a sip. So I wanted to, like I said, talk about boy layouts. There's been a lot of talk about it lately, actually, on some of the groups I'm in about how you go about it. And I just thought I would share with you my take from it. I've kind of split them into two, ones that have a little bit more girlier aspects to it possibly, versus some pretty boyish layouts. So I think because it's easier, I'm just gonna start with these ones. Let me just make sure this is in focus here. I'm sorry that you can see this. This is my printer and these may not be fully, they are not. I don't know how to make it anymore so that you can see the full layout. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to fix my camera, but having to sit it's hard. This sucks. I don't know how else to say that. But so I have a few to share with you. This one I really love. So I created this layout all about Jackson, talking about how much fun he had playing with bubbles. There's red, I mean, I guess it's technically pink, but I take it as red in it. But it is very boy color dominated, which is helpful. So if you have a collection, so most of this is from the, that Wonder collection from Crate Paper. So just take bits and pieces. Like this part right here is from one of the Paige Evans collections. So I find a lot of times what I end up doing is just going through collections, pulling all the pieces that are boyish, so I can normally create a page that ends up being like this. And then you just find you use a lot of white because that way you can take advantage of everything else and just use darker pattern papers. So there's one example. I also have this one. You're gonna see that my answer to most of it is to use teal. Teal and black, I find, to do boy layouts works really, really well. Sorry about the coffee drinking part. And then some gray. So you kind of get a bit of it there too. But there's not even a spot of pink, that's red, which helps kind of show off part of the photo that I was trying to highlight there. And I love it. There was pink on the back of this, so I guess you can see a tiny bit of pink, but that you'd have to look pretty close at my layout to be able to see that. And so, yeah, and like these are thickers from, these are also the Wonder collection that probably were pink actually, because they were all the random ones, and I just chose to paint them. And that helped make it so that it was all one color, coordinated with what I was trying to do here, and go from there. And then if you wanted something like you wanted extra embellishments, like I said, just pull out all the ones that are boyish, put them aside. Yes, you may not be able to make quite as many layouts because there's not always as many boy themed products, but at least you've got options in that aspect to do it like that. Here's one where it actually isn't teal focused. I pulled in some orange. Orange is always a great boy color. And then a little bit of a neutral. And then the only little bit of blue is on this bird paper, just because he was wearing such a blue shirt. So there's an option if you don't want to always use blue because of whatever, you just get sick of it. Maybe you don't like teal. I mean, that's super possible. So there's an option. Pull in some oranges or pull in some colors that just you don't see very often. I don't scrap with orange hardly ever. So when I do, it's neat because you don't see it very often, and it definitely says boy to me. I would never think that this was a girl layout. And then there's stuff like when you're scrapbooking a baby. I find baby pages by themselves are just easier to scrapbook because you can have some of those more lovey-dovey cutesy things to them because they're babies. But it's still, there's no pink to this layout. I've added gold, which I guess could be a little girly, but no, I stuck with the green and this gray and then the gold to highlight it, but there's no pink, which kind of helps. And then I just pulled in stars. Stars are great for boy layouts because they're not, they're not as cutesy sometimes as hearts can be. So there's another example. If you'd like to do something like that, pull in some stars for a boy layout. And then here's an example of using some brighter colors, but keeping it still masculine enough to where it works. So I kept it really simple. This was white cardstock. So I do a lot of white cardstock starting there and then building it. And I just pulled from a collection. So I just pulled all the papers from the collection that weren't pink. I pulled red instead and then played off of that. This, I guess, is technically pink, but again, because of the red, it plays itself off as red. So that's how I go about that. And then there's little corner pieces here. Yes, there's some tissue paper that I guess could be considered girly, but I don't know. It doesn't make me, it was more to represent the fact that he had pulled out all of his wipes, and it was more to represent that and kind of get that feel to it, more than the fact that I'm thinking, oh, I'm using tissue paper on a boy layout. So there's that option for you as well. And here's a fun one that is definitely all boy. So again, you see the colors, they're the teal and the blues and all of that, but they're fun to play with. And then you just pick some brighter colors to back it with and just make it fun and pop, but yet it still looks like a boy layout. So triangles, again, like stars, are a great thing to use for boys. Boys and girls, obviously, you can use it for either, but they are, they're not a girly shape, so you could definitely use that for a boy layout. And finally, I have this one. So my new favorite color combo to scrap right now is this tealy blue color and yellow, and it creates great boy layouts. I love the way it turned out, and I also added in this awesome gray color that I have. And then I stitch with black, which I find helps kind of anchor everything. And little pops of black in boy layouts work well. Again, it's a little bit harsher so that it just speaks to a little bit more of a masculine feel. So those are what I consider my boy layouts. And then I have some that have a little bit more pink. So let me share with you those two. Just have another quick sip here. So in this one, I can still tell it's a boy layout. I think it's really fun and bright and colorful and happy, which was the tone I was going for with this layout. But there is pink in it, but I don't know. Look at it. Does it make your eye, does your eye go to the pink here, or does it go to these bright pops of blue, which is kind of what I was trying to focus on, and this fun yellow color. So that's kind of what I do when I add in pink and a little bit more girlier elements. Like I added in a doily. That's pretty girly, but you don't really, unless you seriously stop and stare at this layout with a scrapbooker's eye, your family isn't going to realize that you've added a bunch of girly aspects into a layout. They're just going to say, hey, look, I remember this photo of Jackson, and oh, look, he's being so cute and being such a good boy and all of that. They're not going to care that there's some pink on your layout. So there's that. And then I also was able to border it with teal as well. So that helped it as well. Like now, if I wanted to make this more of a girl layout versus a boy layout, I probably would have bordered it with pink, and then that would have changed it. I think little things like that probably would have changed this whole layout, and I could have had a girl photo here, left everything else the same, obviously changed that to girl. But it would have been a girly layout because there would have been a little extra more pink to it. So that's how you can kind of go about that, is look at things, use pink in areas, but then eliminate it so it's just kind of there very subtly. Here's another one where I bet you if I didn't point out the fact that there's 3 little pops of pink on here, you probably wouldn't even notice it. This is a very boy layout in my mind. I've used gold and blue and black and teal. You can see those colors are represented very often within my layouts. And then there's little hints of it, but it's not very much, and I don't think it takes away from the layout, or does it make me think, oh, this could possibly be about a girl, because it doesn't. It really makes me think that this is a boy layout just the way it's done. Plus the fact that if you want to, if you're still into these, you remember these little washroom people? Add those to your layout. That always helps make it more of a boy layout. And then here's another example where pink is a little bit more dominant within this because I used pattern paper that was pink. But what I ended up doing was, this is a very soft gradient, so it's not a big deal. And I end up deciding and playing it off as more of a coral and almost to the red tones, and I just ignore the fact that it's pink. On here, you just add different aspects to it so that even though there is a little bit of pink, it's there, but it's not like, holy cow, you just scrapbooked a layout about a boy on pink paper. I don't see that when I look at this. And then I added in some softer browns, and I find that helps too. So brown, if you do it in the right way, I have a hard time scrapping with brown, so that's normally an issue for me, but when you do it in the right way to bring in the other elements of it, can work really well when you do boy layouts as well. And then here's one which I used a pretty fun and almost girly blue pattern paper, right? You could really use this for a girl, but I was able to tone it in a little bit and enough that with these photos, it says boy. You can see why I did all the blue tones, and I feel like even though there are, again, some pops of pinking, some girlier aspects, it still says boy because of the way his clothes are and the fact that he's a boy. You can see in the photo he's a boy. And then layering it with blue. So I think if I wanted to make this one more girly, the way I would change it, and you could change it up to make it more girly, is all this hand stitching I would have probably done in pink. So I would have used blue as the background for a fun color and then added in pink to help pop off the fact that I wanted to talk about a girl. Here's another one, a fun beach one. Beach should be pretty easy because you can use the fun tealy colors, but if you can see here, this little piece of pattern paper, it has pink in it, but it looks white because of the way that, and the little small amounts that I've done it. And then again, these little bits of pink almost play off more as red. So I'm fine with that. It's the softer pink, and I really like the way that it looks actually when it's mixed in with these colors. And then I just try to highlight the different colors. So I tried to highlight yellow and teal more than the pink, but I have the aspects there so that there's a visual triangle, which doesn't make your eye, because there's the visual triangle, your eye isn't like, oh, why is there pink on this layout? It just kind of naturally flows and you almost don't notice it, again, unless you're taking your scrapbooking eye and staring at every little element on the page. Here's another one that definitely you could play this off either way. So this could be a girly layout. Absolutely. Slide in a photo of your little girl there, and bam, you've got a pretty neat little girl layout. This kind of fell apart. But the way I helped kind of tone it down and make it more boyish is, again, the washroom person there. And then I just added little things like there's black. So that's a little bit of a harsher element there to kind of help. And I added black down here as well. So little pieces that, though this definitely could be a girl layout with, especially with doilies and stuff, I feel like I played it off pretty well to the fact that you can tell I'm talking about a boy, and he's a little bit older in this photo. He's still a baby, obviously, but it's okay. And there's even some pink sparkles here, but my eye doesn't really go to that. It goes to the photo and the journaling, and then I kind of do an overview of it, and then that's it. I sometimes can look in and see it. But what it really does is his blanket has teal and yellow and orange, and that's kind of where I pull the colors from the layout from the blanket. So that's how my eye works with that one. And then here's an example of, this is probably more of a girlier page, but I just love it. And because it's talking about how he has my smile, the idea of adding more pink into it, talking about the fact that you're relating something about a trait about a boy to a female, so a male to a female, you can add a few more girly colors to kind of help represent the point that you're trying to make. So that's how I was able to incorporate all this fun pink in here, but yet still keep it together and condensed and still be boyish enough. Also helping to back it with, like, again, the black definitely helped make it say, okay, yes, this is probably a little bit more of a boy layout than a girl. I think if I wanted to make this a little bit more girly, this definitely would have been changed to a softer color. And let's see, I probably wouldn't have used this dark blue in it for my title. I probably, again, would have chose something a little bit softer, but these little elements kind of help masculinize it. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. And finally, I wanted to show you this one about how if you're creating a layout about a boy and a girl, sometimes the best thing to do is just pull in the colors that work within it and just let it be. So pink, flowers, floral, pink house, it's backed with pink. And there is pink in it, but I still don't feel like it's saying overly like, wow, this is a girl layout. So this very much could go either way. And you can take the fact that because we're talking about Jackson with his little cousin here, it's another thing where there's a female in the photo. So adding pink to it is okay. And I highly doubt Jackson's going to be looking at this and being like, why did you put flowers on my layout? Like, he's not going to care about that. He's going to be like, oh, look, I got to hang out with Jayla that day, read my journaling, and move on. So that's kind of my thoughts on layouts about creating boy layouts. Like I said, obviously I have a boy, so most of my layouts are focused around him. When I want to do girly layouts, I tend to do layouts about myself or Sean and myself together because I can be a little bit more girly with that. I have a niece, so I can scrapbook about her. I'm having a girl, so I can do that. So I let my girlier aspects in wanting to scrapbook girly things come and go within other layouts. But I try hard when I'm doing layouts about Jackson to keep them more on the masculine and simplistic side of it, but yet I definitely don't mind adding in pink. There's no issues there. I have fun playing with different colors. I wish I was more of a fan of red. Sean and Jackson both love the color red. I can't stand it, so I have a really hard time scrapping with it, but that would be another really great idea, is scrapbook with red for a boy. Boys love red, and it definitely can play off of as a boy layout, and red would look really awesome with black and white photos, so that is another option for you. I hope you've enjoyed this little look into a few of my layouts and my thoughts on that. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get to them as quickly as possible. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye!